Did you know that your daily cup of joe might be doing more than just waking you up in the morning? Recent research has unveiled some exciting health benefits of coffee that could change the way we think about this beloved beverage. Studies have shown that drinking coffee can reduce the risk of developing serious chronic diseases and even lower the risk of premature death by almost 20%. That's right, your morning ritual could be adding years to your life. But wait, there's more. For those concerned about erectile dysfunction, there's promising news. When coffee is combined with a certain natural powder, it can help inhibit and weaken this undesirable condition. Coffee is also beneficial for your brain. In the early stages of certain brain diseases, coffee has been shown to significantly slow progression, and if you're on a weight loss journey, coffee can be your ally. When used skillfully, it accelerates weight loss. As if that weren't enough, coffee also offers protection against some types of cancer, making it a powerful addition to your daily routine. So today, I intend to briefly present to you the latest study, a study that confirms this relationship. And in addition, I will talk about other hidden and unknown benefits of coffee that you probably haven't heard of. In the study from October 18, 2024, titled Phenome-Wide Analysis of Coffee Intake on Health Over 20 Years of Observation Among Adults in Hong Kong, we read that coffee consumption was associated with an 18% reduction in mortality risk from any cause. Over 20 years of observation, as the scientists themselves point out, coffee reduced the risk of early death from any disease cause, such as diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, or cancers, by 18%. But here arises the question, why? Why does coffee so strongly protect our body? Well, as it turns out, the polyphenols contained in coffee, including chlorogenic acid, which is a polyphenol, protect our genetic material in a unique way. They protect our DNA strands from breaking. This prevents mutations, which are often the beginning of cancer cells. In the study titled Coffee Consumption Rapidly Reduces DNA Strand Breaks in Healthy, we read that the results show a significant reduction of background DNA strand breaks already 2 hours after the first coffee intake. Finally, when it comes to the strength of this action, we read that repeated coffee consumption reduced the amount of DNA strand breaks, our genetic material, by 1/3. But this is not just theory. The fact that coffee reduces the number of broken strands of our genetic material by 1/3 has a tangible impact on reducing the risk of developing cancer. This clear protection of genetic material directly translates into a lower incidence of numerous cancers. These properties are so pronounced and so well established that even the American Institute for Cancer Research clearly indicates that the quality and strength of evidence from scientific studies clearly advocate recommending coffee as a brew that reduces the risk of developing many cancers. Let's dive into the studies. In the study titled Coffee Consumption and Risk of Liver Cancer, we read that overall increasing the consumption of 2 cups of coffee per day was associated with a 43% reduction in liver cancer risk. But that's not all. In another study, we read that coffee consumption was associated with a 26% lower odds of developing colorectal cancer. Further, scientists write that increasing the consumption of 1 cup of coffee per day was associated with a 4% reduction in pancreatic cancer risk. Finally, in another study, we read that increased coffee consumption by 4 cups per day was associated with a 20% reduction in endometrial cancer risk. And before I move on to other very interesting properties of coffee, it is important to understand that only choosing the right coffee protects our health. Well, dear viewers, the health-promoting effects of coffee are due to polyphenols, including chlorogenic acid. And now, since we know that the presence of polyphenols, these antioxidants, in coffee is so important, it will be much easier for you to understand which coffee to drink. We should drink coffee that has as many antioxidants as possible. And since we know this, it's important to know that coffee is divided into light roast, medium dark roast, and dark roast. The higher the degree of roasting, the higher the temperature and often the time of this process. And what does this mean for us? Well, generally, the less roasted the coffee, the more valuable polyphenols and other compounds it contains, which give coffee its health-promoting properties. So, if we have a choice and can afford coffee with a lower degree of roasting, we should definitely choose that coffee. And with this knowledge, let's move on to the next point. Dear viewers, or rather dear gentlemen, it turns out that coffee rich in antioxidants, the less roasted one reduces the risk of developing erectile dysfunction in men with obesity and hypertension. In the study titled The Role of Caffeine Consumption in Erectile Dysfunction in Men in the United States, we read that coffee consumption reduced the likelihood of erectile dysfunction, especially consumption equivalent to 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day. This reduction was also observed in men with overweight and hypertension, but not in men with diabetes. Why does this effect appear in obese or hypertensive individuals, but not in those with diabetes? Because in the case of diabetes, the amount of free radicals that destroy the vessels in the cavernous bodies of the penis is so large that even strong antioxidants from coffee cannot capture them all. Additionally, in the course of diabetes, protein glycation occurs, so coffee, in the case of severe diseases, unfortunately does not reduce the risk of erectile dysfunction. But in erectile dysfunction, I would recommend combining light roasted coffee with Maca root. How to combine coffee and Maca root? Well, after brewing the coffee, please add about 2.5 grams of powdered Maca root to the coffee. Then wait 3 to 4 minutes for the root to release its substances into the coffee, and it's ready. You can drink it. And just to supplement, I will only point out the evidence in the form of a scientific study that indicates such properties of this plant. In the study titled The Effect of Maca Root on Well-Being and Sexual Performance in Patients with Mild Erectile Dysfunction, we read that our data confirm a small but significant effect of Maca root supplementation on the subjective perception of overall sexual well-being in adult patients with mild erectile dysfunction. Here I will just add that you should not expect results from this combination like from the blue pill, but what this combination surpasses the blue pill in is stopping further destruction of the vessels in the penis, which prevents the problems from worsening. Let's move on to other uses of coffee. What else can drinking a small black coffee help us with? As it turns out, coffee will help us lose weight, and very importantly, also maintain a healthy weight. The question is why? Well, the most important problem in losing weight or maintaining weight is an unrestrained appetite and the desire to snack. When we start eating too much, then no diet and no weight loss technique will simply help. You can't lose weight and eat too many calories. And this is where coffee can help us. Coffee that controls appetite. In the study titled The Effect of Coffee Consumption on Weight Loss, we read that with each doubling of coffee consumption, the average reduction in body weight, BMI, and fat tissue increased twofold. Of course, a twofold decrease in the amount of fat tissue sounds encouraging. But please remember that we are talking about the so-called average effect size. So if we make efforts to lose weight, coffee will help us with that. However, coffee itself does not cause weight loss, but it helps determined people by, of course, reducing the feeling of hunger. But that's not all. It turns out that coffee reduces the risk of developing Parkinson's disease, but what may be even more important, especially for people who have just been diagnosed with this disease, coffee significantly slows the progression of the disease in its early stages. In the study titled The Effect of Caffeine on the Risk and Progression of Parkinson's Disease, we read that caffeine in patients in the early stages of Parkinson's disease significantly slowed the progression of the disease. Why does coffee have such a beneficial effect on this disease? Scientists suspect that it is caffeine combined with chlorogenic acid, which is a strong antioxidant, that improves the metabolism of alpha-synuclein, which in turn weakens the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. And in this case, as before, we choose coffee with a lower degree of roasting. Dear viewers, and before I reveal the amazing properties of coffee again, here's one more important piece of advice. We drink coffee 9 hours before going to bed because only after 9 hours from drinking coffee does it have no effect on our sleep. We read about this in the study titled The Effect of Caffeine on Subsequent Sleep, where we further read that to avoid a complete reduction in sleep time, coffee is best consumed at least 8.8 hours before sleep. Finally, it is worth noting that regular coffee drinking significantly reduces the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by almost 50%. And here are the details. If we drink 1 cup of coffee, the risk decreases by 13%. If we drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee, the risk decreases by as much as 43%. Finally, 4 cups, as the scientists themselves write in a 2006 study, reduce the risk by as much as 47%. And that was the last piece of information in today's video. If you want to try Maca root, which I mentioned in today's video, and experience the benefits it can bring when combined with coffee, click the link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with our latest content and deepen your understanding of health and wellness. Until next time, take care and stay healthy.